want you to take a look at this picture. Has this ever happened to you? This picture is something that happens to so many people after strenuous activity or after working out. This is a muscle cramp. What we're going to talk about today is why we need to stretch and why it's so important. So to begin, have you ever woken up with a cramp? Picture this scenario. You get done working out, finish some strenuous activity or something like that. You get home, you're tired, and all you want to do is just relax. So you do. You fall asleep. Next thing you know, you wake up and you're cramping. And it's not very comfortable. Has this ever happened to you? If it has, you're not alone. And if it hasn't, then you're lucky. But this is where stretching comes into play, and this is why it's so important. Stretching is something that needs to be done after each and every strenuous activity or after working out. As a personal trainer and a cycling instructor, I incorporate stretching with every client and after every class to ensure that they don't get after-class spasms or cramping. My goal for you today is to try to persuade you into understanding why stretching is so important so you'll do it more. But before we can do that, we need to discuss some terms that follow with stretching. For instance, muscle flexibility. So what is it? According to Bandy and Therapeutic Exercise book, muscle flexibility is the ability for a muscle to lengthen, thus allowing the joint to move through a specific motion. Sportsmedicine.com describes stretching as actively attempting to increase range of motion at a given joint. And range of motion is the motion available at that given joint. So let's go back to the scenario we discussed earlier. You get done with your strenuous activity or working out. You're tired and you don't stretch and you cramp up. Why? Your muscles are overworked. They're not stretched properly or they're not stretched at all. Therefore, tightening occurs, spasms happen, hence a cramp. This brings us to why stretching is so important. With stretching on a daily basis or after a strenuous activity or a workout, you're able to increase your muscle flexibility. You can decrease your soreness or your stiffness because there will be more fluid motion available. And you can also decrease your risk of injury. How can you decrease your risk of injury? When sore muscles are shortened, there's less range of motion. Therefore, motions can become spastic, awkward, and they don't flow well. Therefore, you can actually trip over something and get hurt. So let's look at the adverse effect, or what happens when you don't stretch. You'll have less muscle flexibility. You'll have an increase in soreness and stiffness, and you could have an increase for a risk of injury. As mentioned, with a decreased risk of injury, because your muscles are so spastic and they move awkwardly, your muscles don't move the normal way they should, therefore cramping, tearing, sprains and strains, all of that can happen, which is something we want to avoid. So visualize someone that stretches after each and every activity. They probably don't have a lot of pain, they're probably not stiff or sore. They probably get through their day no problem. Now imagine someone that doesn't do it. They probably walk around a little cranky. I would. So which person do you want to be? Do you want to be the person that stretches or the one that walks around crappy? How can we change this? According to Fittour's Guide for Personal Training, stretching should be done at minimum of 3 days a week or at least after every strenuous activity. And these stretches are to be held for 15 to 30 seconds. So let's go ahead and recap. While stretching on a daily basis is excessively important because it will increase your muscle flexibility, decrease your soreness, and have a decreased risk of injury. The reverse effect of this is a decrease in muscle flexibility, an increase in your soreness or stiffness, and you're at a higher risk for injury. So what we can conclude from today is while stretching is so important for your body, it'll help you get through the day easier, and it's something that should be done, especially after strenuous activities. So my question to you is, when do you want to start?